both the 2005 and 2010 Constitution heavily borrowed from District Focus for Rural Development. And the father of District Focus for Rural Development was Simon Nyandusi. He is the brain behind District Focus for Rural Development, and he is the grandfather of county governments, what we call devolution. He is the grandfather of devolution. And this is how it started. You know, Charles Nyandusi joined the civil service as a clerk. Then after serving as a clerk, of course I've recorded something about him you can still see in my channel. But after working as a clerk, he was trained in Britain and came back as a district assistant. You know, initially, Kenya was composed of less than 10 districts. And the head of a district then used to be called district officer. And in divisions, the divisions then were the size of what you can now call counties today. They were headed by district assistants. So when Kenya attained independence, or just before Kenya attained independence, it was decided that the districts become more, around 40 or 42. Then when the districts became, they were increased, it was decreed that the people heading districts be now called district commissioners. And district officers were the people to head in divisions. We have people who are called, people who have not worked in civil service do not know that we have people, 3 types of DOs. We have DO1, or today we call them SCC1, that is the Deputy District Commissioner. Then we have DO2, who is in charge of a division, who was in charge of a division before the new constitution. Then we have DO3, who at times is called Cadet DO. Usually these are DOs who work under other DOs. You find a division like Thika. It used to have a DO2 and a DO1. Now, DO2 and DO3. Now, DO3 initially used to be called District Assistant, but later they were named the same. And you can remember, for those who know about Nyachai wanted to resign from civil service because when he was taken to, I think it is Nyando, he was a district assistant and he was working under a Mzungu Dio. But the Mzungu knew that this one was understudying him and understudying him so as to take over. So the Mzungu was harsh and Nyachai had to resign and go and work for breweries. That is when the father intervened and he went back. So we used to have a district assistant, then district officer. He became a district officer. Nyachai became a district commissioner. Actually, he was the district commissioner for Nyandarua. No, he was a district commissioner for other places I can't recall. But in 1973, before JM died, Nairobi was, you know, we had 6 or 7 provinces, but Nairobi was an extra district. It was an extra district where the district was not answerable to any PC. But it was decided that Nairobi be made a province without a district. So the last district commissioner for Nairobi was called Bill Martin Chotara Mukalenjin. He was the last district commissioner who handed over to a PC, and the PC handed over was Nyachai. Then Nyachai worked for several provinces, Nairobi being the first. And when J.M. Kariuki died, he was the provincial commissioner, Central. And from Nairobi he went to Rift Valley. And you know the constituency that is called Kacheliba used to be operated from Uganda. He's the one who went and took over. When it was handed over to Kenya, Nyachai was handed over to, he's the one who was handed over as a provincial commissioner. I may not remember the calendar, alikuwa wapi what time, but I'm only saying that Nyachai worked in various places as a clerk, as a district assistant, and as a district officer, as a district commissioner, and as a provincial commissioner. Then he was taken to Nairobi from Nyeri to be the permanent secretary for provincial administration before he was made a chief secretary. So he had worked, and he was very conversant with everything starting from village level. That is why in 1984, 85, I said around there, but around 1985, he came out with a session paper where he said that development was, look at the bridge, that bridge in your home village. For it to be, for that bridge to be replaced with a modern bridge, people had to sit in Nairobi and decide. So he said, why don't we place the focus for rural development in the districts? So he is the one who started the District Focus for Rural Development, DFRC, RS, District Focus for Rural Development, DFRD. He came up with that, and he decided, and you know, if you look at these people, Nyachai is on the same level as KENYA-TENGE. And I have to tell you, if you're in a position of power, and you have a good is it geometry or geography or chemistry? Yeah. If you have a good chemistry with the president, you can do a lot of development. So Nyachai approached Moi and said, why don't we have something that is called DDC? We have a person in the province called Provincial Planning Officer. He was to oversee the districts in his province. And in the district, we used to have a person called DDO, not daily drinking officer. Of course, that time I used to be a DDO. I used to take alcohol daily. But we used to have a person in the district called District Development Officer. So they started a committee that was called DDC, District Development Committee. This District Development Committee was chaired by the District Commissioner. Of course, Ngao, National Government Administration Officer. He is the coordinator of the government, of the central government in the district. So he is the chairman. The secretary of the DDC was the DDO, District Development Officer. They would sit down and prioritize things in the district as they were to come. So once they have sat there this way, they would take to Nairobi, of course, with a copy to the PPO, Provincial Planning Officer, so that these things would happen that way. And for us who worked in the civil servant at that time, I was there. I participated in the giving birth of the District Development Committee. Kenya changed a lot at that time. Even what you see now in the county government, MCS and whatever, it is just a copy of the DDC. But then we saw that, Nyachai saw, sorry to have taken Nyachai's credit. Nyachai saw that the districts, there are some districts which were very big. Look at the counties, Wajir, look at Turkana, look at Marsabit. Those are very big districts. So he said that every division should have a DDC, a sub-DDC. Sub-DDC Sub-District Development Committee, which was headed by the DO, and all district departmental heads were members. So let us give credit where it is. Nyachai, lala pema peponi, you brought us what we are now enjoying. But you see, although you joined politics but you are not a politician, a lot of people nowadays go around, mimi ndio nilileta 2010 katiba. Yes, you leta 2010 katiba, but devolution was, the grandfather of devolution is one Simon Nyandusi.